session outline for today is CV writing and optimization, as well as interview preparation. So I want us to have at the back of our minds before we even begin this session that these are not separate skills. This is one story, a professional one, and it is your story. The first thing about CV writing and optimization, it's how you make recruiters notice you. So if you don't find yourself in a space where you're networking, but you've applied for a job, your CV is the first glance, is the first thing somebody would see to say, okay, let's shortlist this person. And then you go to the next step, which is your interview. And this is how you communicate your value. So you've written that you have all these competences, all these skills. Now, how do you communicate it when you've been given an opportunity, either online or in person? CV writing and optimization. I want everybody to type in the chat, what is the full meaning of a CV? Type in the chat. You can get your spelling wrong. Type in the chat, what is the full meaning of CV? Let's do that in a couple of seconds. Excellent, Firdausi. Can I have some more responses, please? What is the full meaning of a CV? Excellent, Eniola. Okay, it seems like we're all on the same track. So CV is a curriculum vitae. This is what shows exactly what you've done. It is your first impression. It is what people see and think about you long before they meet you. It is your professional marketing document. It is an entry into opportunities, a conversation starter. All this lists an evidence of your value and potential. A lot of people do lie on their CVs, and this is something we'll have to come to when we talk about ethical CV writing and the search for jobs. It is a tool that helps you secure an interview. It is your identity that shows your skills, which then leads you to the opportunity. I want us to also remember that a CV does not get you the job. It gets you the opportunity to prove that you deserve this job, to show that you have that value and that you can add something to an organization. That is what a CV is. There's nothing more to it. This is just a snapshot of who and how you're communicating things. The first thing it would show is who you are. This is your background, your education, and your professional profile. The second thing is what you can do. This encompasses your skills, your experiences, and your competences. Why should you be hired? So what you've achieved, the results that have been derived from that, and the value you bring. These are the main components of any CV. Now, we're about to meet a young lady. Her name is Chioma. Chioma is a bright and ambitious graduate. She completed her degree with good grades. She volunteered in her community, and she also gained valuable internship experience. She has spent hours searching for opportunities and has applied for a dozen of jobs, but yet there has been no interview invitations. She begins to question herself. Am I not qualified enough? What am I doing wrong? Why is nobody calling me back? Now, the problem is Chioma is not communicating her value effectively in her CV. Chioma is not the problem. She clearly seems to have all the equipment for this, but she is not communicating this. A CV should not simply just be a list of your experiences and qualifications. It should clearly show employers the value and skills that you bring. What is the potential that you have? Now, we're going to talk about tailored CVs. I know when people see opportunities, they bombard employers with the same copy of CV. We can always tell, always tell. And my advice is that you should never, ever do that. If you're applying for a particular job, it could be the same job position across different organizations. Always tailor your CV to that particular organization, that particular sector, and that particular job role. You could be applying to be an intern, private sector, the third sector, which is the NGO sector, or to be a civil servant. You have to tailor your CV to that particular purpose. And the reality is that many qualified candidates are overlooked, not because they lack the talent, but because their CV fails to tell the story effectively. An employer would not always have the opportunity to call on you and say, okay, explain this. So that document you're submitting is proof that I can do this. The questions that are going to come up when we're looking at your CV, it should automatically be answered long before we ask them or even meet you. This is Chioma's problem. The anatomy of a winning CV. Many of us have written CVs. We've had people write our CVs for us. We've had AI write CVs for us. And we're going to come and talk about AI and how it's a good thing, but it's also something that we can easily spot and what it means. So the first thing on your CV should be your contact information. And when I mean contact information, I am not talking about your full home address, your village, your parents' home. That is not what we are talking about. We're talking about your phone number, your email address. And sometimes if you're applying for something that requires you to be in a different state, you can put in that particular state that you are based in that state. If you're not, it's also good to mention it either in the body of the email where you're sending your CV, or at some point in your statement. You should mention you're willing to relocate. We might not give it as much attention because we would say, okay, I'm looking for somebody in Lagos, but why is somebody in Kano applying? And then I have to think about all the logistics of you moving. Even if you say you have an auntie here that you will be living with when you come to Lagos, my worry is now that you would be very, very distracted. You would be this, you would be this, and then this leads in people into not being honest. Honesty is your best tool when it comes to your CV, when it comes to an interview process. So that's for your contact information. The second thing should be your professional profile and summary. Now, I think most of the people on this call are entry level. You've just graduated. You're actually in the job market looking for jobs. But as you grow within your career, the first thing that would be after your contact information is your professional profile, your summary. This is what says exactly what you do, what you've been doing, what your expertise are in, and what sometimes if we don't even ask for a statement, this is what we would read. When you don't send a covering letter, this is the first few sentences we're going to read. And we're like, oh, okay, do not lie about that. Do not give misinformation. Do not fib. Do not say things that are not true. So some weak statements you would find in a professional summary is, I'm a hardworking and motivated individual. How? I want to understand how did you come to that conclusion? The person looking at your CV can say, oh, this person seems to be hardworking and very, very motivated. But what have you then said that made me think that? A strong example is, I'm an economics graduate with experience in project coordinating, stakeholder engagement, and data analysis. In my head, I'm just like, oh, okay, stakeholder project. So I'm going to be giving a lot of examples with NGO lingo because this is my sector. So when immediately I see this, I'm just like, oh, this would be an excellent project manager, an excellent projects team member. And then they have an economics background. So it means they can be on the health desk. It means they can always look at statistics. This is a double advantage. But if you tell me you're hardworking and motivated, how do I understand that? In what area? You don't know what I'm looking for as an employer, but this has already given me a snapshot of what I need to know. So do not jump to conclusion to say you are this, you are that. Allow the person to come to that, the employer and the recruiter to come to that deduction. The third thing of a winning CV and component is your key skills and area of expertise. Again, this is something that is going to come as you grow in your career. Perhaps it's not something that you might already have. So you wouldn't find yourself with 0 to 2 years of experience saying you're an expert in this, you're an expert in that. And this is usually where your key skills come in. Please do not put things like, I'm an excellent team member. No. When you have your interview, we would see that. But also, I would keep in mind that once you're applying for an internship position or for an entry-level position, it's not bad if they see these things because you've not had any work experience. So they would not frown on those. So that's completely okay. Now, point 4 and point 5 depend. If you haven't had any working experience, jump into your education. You've just graduated, you've just done your NYSC. But if you've worked perhaps an internship, talk about your work experience first before your education. And when we're talking about education, please do not put your primary and secondary school. We are not looking for this. Again, internship positions. Perhaps if you're a fresh graduate, they would want to see, where you were born, where you were raised, and we would put all those things together. So if I see, oh, okay, this person went to King's College in Lagos, but now they're applying for a job in Abuja, then I'm now wondering, so are they based in Lagos? Did they go to university abroad, or did they go to, are they back in Nigeria? Where are they applying from? So these are all questions, but not as important that it will determine me stopping looking at your CV or reviewing it. So keep that in mind. If you have zero work experience, start with your education. If you do have some work experience, start with your work experience. And then it talks about your achievements. So I've been working for a decade now, and even in my CV, I have a short corner where I talk about achievements, how this has grown from this to this through my efforts to. So if you're allowed to at every stage. If in university you were part of a society that helped, you targeted 500 underprivileged people, what you've done, and you led that initiative, or you were the secretary on that initiative, these are the things we would like to see. So again, it comes back to your professional summary. It's not saying you have great independent capacity, you're a great leader. No, but now in your achievements, I've seen that you have exhibited being a great leader. So something that people might say is, I manage social media. Okay, that's fine. You're young, you would be able to manage social media, but what you could replace it with is, I have increased social media engagement by 45% within 6 months, whether you were in school or whether you were an intern or wherever you found yourself. This, I'm just like, wow, 45%. First of all, they know their statistics. Second of all, it means that they're really tech savvy. So even if you're applying for a different role, and I now see, oh, this person is quite tech savvy, these are two advantages. Another example, I processed 500 applications. You've managed a budget of 5 million naira. You've coordinated a team of 12 volunteers, increased attendance by 40%. Let's see the numbers. Let's find out what you've done, the impact you've brought about, things like that. An achievement that people often look down on. Perhaps you've written a thesis in your bachelor's or your master's, and you got best thesis of the year or best thesis within the department. Say that. Your topic, your paper, it won awards. You know, you were recognized for this. This is the change that came from this. Put that in your achievements as well. Certifications, if you're certified, or if you haven't got certifications, what you've done in terms of volunteering. So these are things, if you're coming into sectors like mine, I would immediately look at volunteers. So you were not paid, but you took your time and initiative to work in this area. You did this, you were part of this coordination. Those are all things that we would like to see in your volunteering/achievement if you do not have certificates. And the final thing is your referee list. Please do not say referees available upon request, not at this stage. When I see that, even for people applying for high-level positions, now you have given me an extra step to message you or to send in a follow-up to say, please send in your referees, and automatically I will discard that CV. This is how it happens. So always have your referees no more than 3. If you've been in school, have one referee from university. If you have worked, one in university, one from university, another one from your work experience, either your HR or your manager. Have those things. Always confirm from them, because we could reach them at any point. We might not even tell you, but just, I'm applying for this, or I have you as my permanent referee, please approve. And sometimes if you have more than 3 referees and not written in your CV, but you have the chance to use people from different sectors and different areas, always make sure that it tallies with the job opportunity you're applying for. So let's say you're applying to an NGO. Sorry, again, same examples. This is my sector. Let's say you're applying to an international. You would give a referee from a fellow international NGO. You would give somebody that you know. And what we often mistake is character referees. Sometimes I want people to be able to tell me how you did in your last work experience, how you did in university, as opposed to, oh, okay, this is my mother who could be my, who could be a shorty, or who could attest to my character. Not for a job. We're not looking for that in a job. Because if I then reach them and I ask, how do you know this person? How many years have you known this person? It's very difficult if it's a family member that is telling me you're excellent. Of course, they want you to have a job. And then if that you lie about that and that is discovered, that already reduces your credibility. So this is very, very important. Now, we're going to look at a few reasons why most CVs fail. Generic applications, as I've been reiterating. You see several opportunities, you have one CV. Right now in my computer, I have Hana Hashim CV 2026. And that is something I would always update as a generic one. But if I'm applying to something, either an opportunity, either perhaps not another job, but something else, I would not copy paste every single CV to every single application. Some of my experiences matter, some would not. Some I need to amplify, some I don't need to. So please do not send out generic CVs as applications. Do not do that. You will be, we can spot it immediately. We can spot it. You're applying for a job in one department, but you've emphasized on your experience in finance, but you want to be on the projects team. Maybe you're not as experienced as you are on the finance team, but you can amplify your volunteering experience. You can amplify what you've done during your volunteering experience. So never send generic CVs. It will take you 5 minutes to adapt it, to change it. You have it on your phone, you have it handy. Adapt it to what you're applying to the sector you're applying to. Do some research about the organization. I know we tend to just mass apply, or you have your CV or a subscription on Jobberman, and they just send your application to every opportunity that aligns with what you've ticked as your areas. So please be mindful of this. And then when it comes to your achievements, you talk about your responsibilities. So I did this, I did this, I did this. Okay, but what great things did you achieve? What were the results? So always focus on your achievements rather than your responsibilities. Poor formatting. So in some cases, you see Times New Roman. In another part, you would see another font. And it just shows this is so sloppy, this is very messy. And there are people that are very, very particular as employers and as recruiters, and immediately they are thrown off. This looks, if somebody could not take their time to adapt this 2-3 page document, then how sure am I that they're not going to be sloppy on the job? And nobody wants sloppy. So poor formatting, spelling errors can also get you into a lot of trouble. So always double check. Always triple check. Have somebody look at your CV, 2 minutes. What you cannot spot from seeing the same document over and over again, somebody else might be able to spot it. So people also do not put in measurable results. So when we talked about numbers, let's see statistics. What have you done? What have you achieved? This links back to our second point about achievement. And then no tailoring. So same as generic applications. You don't tailor your CV. You just put it out there. Most recruiters will reject a CV for lack of clarity than reject it for you not being competent. Sometimes I would have question marks. Oh, okay, this person seems to be a bit competent or a very competent, but there's no clarity in their CV. I cannot see what you've done. I cannot see what university. You've missed out major details, or you've missed out things that I've asked for, perhaps in the job description, in the advert put out, and that immediately gets you disqualified. Whether you're competent or not is a different issue, but I could not answer my automatic questions in my head because I could not spot it in your CV. So this is what makes a lot of CVs are rejected on this account, on this basis, not because you're not competent, because you did not communicate your skills, your background, your expertise properly and accordingly. Now, I did mention that we would be talking about some myths and facts about CVs. And one of the very interesting ones is that a CV must be 1 page. Now, it depends. Sometimes when you're applying for something, you would see a requirement no more than 2 pages. I know somebody who has a CV of 20-something pages. Obviously, they are experts in their field. They have been working for about 30 odd years. But even at that stage, it's very, very difficult for them to tailor it to what should I take out, what should I not take out. So always be aware of this. Your CV should not be too long. You shouldn't have 1 internship experience and then you have 20 responsibilities or 10 things, or you copy and paste your job description from your contract into the tasks that you did under that position when you're writing a CV. We don't need that. If it's 1 page, it means you have limited experience, and that is also okay. Now, the fact on this end is that quality and relevance matters a lot more than length. I want to see what you've done in the area you've applied to. I would like to see my unanswered questions answered. So quality better than quantity. Always, always remember that. If it's 1 page, it does not mean that it's a bad CV. As long as you feel like you've done your due diligence and you've applied and written every single thing, you are okay. Don't worry about anything else. Now, the second thing is photos are required on every CV. Please, they are not. Unless it has been specifically requested, then you can put in your CV. But I don't want to see your passport photo. There are a lot of unconscious biases that you have to be very careful with. Now, in some applications, you would see females are encouraged to apply. I know a lot of men that get a bit angry at that. And I'm like, this is an underrepresented group. We are not saying preference would be given to them, but we encourage females to apply. So this ties into unconscious biases, telling me your religion, your marital status. This is all not necessary. Same as your photo. We don't need to see your photo unless it's specifically asked of you. Don't forget, these are global best practices. This is what is up to date with what is required to work anywhere. And this whole initiative is to build your capacity to compete with the global job market, the Nigerian job market. Across the globe, we want you to be able to adapt in whatever situation you find yourself. And this is one thing that is practiced globally, not having your picture on a CV. Now, the more information you include, the better. This is always what people think, which is tied back to the first point. It's not necessarily important. Sometimes I would have seen this over and over again. If you give me one phrase or one keyword, I know for a fact you would have done something. You would have done this responsibility. So we don't need too much information, only relevant information, which is the fact on that end. Now, another myth is that one CV can be used for every job application. Again, tailor your CV. Tailor it all the time. And another myth, fancy colors, graphics, and designs impress recruiters. No, they do not. It messes with our heads because we're looking at one CV and another. In a day, you could look, if you're actively recruiting, you could be looking at 100 plus CVs. I don't want to see fancy colors. It does not make sense. The graphics, the designs, you are not impressing a recruiter. I want us to all know that you are not impressing a recruiter if you have graphics, then you have lots of borders on the side. How it looks, if it's clear, if I don't see too much, if it's one uniformed font, that will take you further than it would your graphics and your designs. Okay, I know you're an excellent graphic designer. Okay, I know you have a subscription on Canva. Okay, I know you're good with using ChatGPT. I don't need to see all those graphics. Many recruiters would not, it's not appreciated. It does the opposite more than good. So clear formatting and strong content matters a lot more than fancy designs. Now, our second to the last myth is you need years of experience to have a strong CV. No, you do not. Many times, even if you dare to apply for things that are not well within what you've done, but you have a personal belief that, okay, if I'm challenged with this and for some great reason, I managed to get in and I'm called for an interview, and I eventually get the job, I'm able to do that. Now, an experienced recruiter, an experienced HR personnel would be able to say from your CV, okay, let's give this person a chance. Sometimes most of what we ask for if we put out an advert is not necessarily what we're looking for. There are a few CVs that, oh, this is interesting. I want to know more about this person. Very, very interesting. Your CV gets you the job. We discussed this from the beginning. It does not. Your CV gets you shortlisted. It leads to an interview which will help you secure the job depending on the skills you exhibit on the day of the interview. This is how it works. So while we're debunking all these myths and we're speaking about facts, always have that at the back of your mind. All the efforts into the CV, it doesn't get you the job. It doesn't guarantee you a job. It guarantees you a position to be able to further prove that you are right for the job. This is how it works. Now, it's 2026. We have to acknowledge the fact that there is AI. We have to acknowledge the fact that there are softwares that make this easy. For many positions that a lot of recruiters globally and in Nigeria would tell you is that we no longer put in our emails to say apply through this email address. There's a format to which you apply. We would ask you the exact questions we want to know. And this brings us to ATS optimization. What is ATS? ATS simply is an applicant tracking system. It is a recruitment software, and it helps us organize and use technology to digitally manage the hiring pipeline, the processes, postings, and candidates data. So the job is created on the system. It's pushed out. You apply. Then the AI itself sort of extracts what we're looking for. So I might not even see your CV. The person you've applied to would not see your CV. It is a system and a software that would further scan and say, okay, this has keywords that we're looking for from the application, from the job advert. Okay, let's screen this, and automatically yours will be discarded if you do not meet the ATS requirements. And what ATS requirements is simply the way you pass an ATS test by using keywords. So you've applied for a job in accounting, let's say, but you didn't use the lingo, the jargon that is required. ATS would not pick up on your application because you've broken it down. You've used big English thinking that is going to impress another human being on the other side. It does not. Use keywords, especially in when you see an advert that has been publicly posted. You didn't see it in the newspaper. Even with the newspapers, don't underestimate that. We might just want it to reach a larger audience. That's why it's online, it's in the newspapers, or sites like Jobberman have picked it up. Use standard headings. So this links us back to all those graphics. If you have so many graphics and it's graphic heavy, ATS will completely ignore your CV. It will filter it out and discard of it. It's not even brought to the shortlisting process. Match language from the job description. So you've seen an advert and it talks about a number of things that they want to see, but you've not mentioned any of those words in your CV or in your cover letter. This ATS would automatically reject your application. And it has nothing to do with the individual behind it. It is a system and a software that is screening and filtering out, okay, this, I can look at this, a human being can then look at this. This is ATS, and it happens, and it's very much used. I use ATS on a daily basis when we're actively recruiting. So long before I see a CV, ATS has already scanned through it, sifted through it, and you do not want to miss out on an opportunity because you did not go through all the processes to pass ATS. Now, this is a very interesting area. I don't know if we can put our thumbs up. How many people think that it might take a recruiter more than 10 seconds to scan your CV? Can I get thumbs up if you think this is an interesting fact? Okay, interesting. It takes an experienced recruiter 10 seconds. This is a fact. 10 seconds to go through your CV. Not that we are going through every single word. We are scanning it. So I know when we were in school, you would hear the word scanning, scheming, how you're reading things. It takes an experienced recruiter, I mean, even with 2 years of experience, 10 seconds to go through your CV and say, okay, this is worth looking at, this is not worth looking at. Because we're looking at CVs, 100 of CVs for a single position. So we already know what we're looking for. And if you're not a consultant, perhaps you work in an organization as a recruiter, and that's your department. So I'll give an example. So because I had the talent desk at my organization, if we're actively recruiting for a position, because I'm embedded in that organization, I know what the challenges have been and I know what the gap is and what we're looking for. So it perhaps will take me less than 10 seconds. But if you're going through a recruitment company that is a consultant for a firm and they're actively recruiting, it would take them about 10 seconds because, you know, it's a position that they've taken up a consultancy saying, okay, we're looking for 5 people that can do this job. It will take them 10 seconds. But if you're applying and the organization is the one recruiting, it takes us 6 seconds. We want to know what you've done, how it's going to answer the questions that we have, how it's going to fill in the gap that we're looking to fill in within the organization. And these are the 4 things when it comes to what we're looking for in that 10-second scan. Who are you? So is your professional profile clear? Do I have question marks as I'm looking at this CV? Can we easily and quickly understand your background, your field, and your career focus? Even if you do not have an extensive CV, you've just graduated, you've done a couple of things, even if you've had no job, I would see from your volunteering experience, okay, this person is really passionate about this sector. They really seem to be, interested in working, even when it comes to the non-governmental space, the third sector. There are different areas. There are people that work in health, people that work in women's economic empowerment, there's a plethora of areas of expertise, even within one sector. So I would like to see, even if you're entry level, okay, yes, I can see that this person is clearly on the path to this. Or no, they've deviated from this and they seem to be more into this. Does that reflect as I scan through your CV? The second thing is, what have you done? So what relevant experiences or internships or volunteering work have you secured? Same thing as the first point. Does your experience align with the role that you're applying for? If you've applied for a different sector or a different department and your experience is in something different, automatically I'm like, this person just generically sent me their CV, and I'll even be very offended because now you've wasted 10 seconds of my time. The third thing is, what value can this person bring? What makes you so different from other candidates? Not by you telling me you're motivated, not by you saying, oh, I'm very hardworking, but I was able to see the statistics of the results of what you've done, outcomes. What did you say that you've achieved even while being in university? How can you contribute to the organization's overall goal, not only the department? The fourth thing is, what skills do they have? Do they possess any technical and soft skills that are required for the position? And are those skills clearly visible within your CV in that 10-second scan? What results have you achieved? So this is achievements, results-oriented, demonstrated impact. Can you show your improvement, your growth? Can I see in your CV, oh, you're not the same person you were a few years ago. You are not the same person you were when you started university. I would like to see that within 10 seconds. That makes your CV stand out. The reality of this issue is, if a recruiter cannot find these answers, they would not even, they will move on to the next CV, even if you are qualified for the position, just like what we said. If you do not clearly show your skills, especially for the position you've applied to, it's next, we click next. So do not rid yourself of that opportunity to be able to be given a shot to say, okay, come, sell yourself. Let's hear what you've done. Let's hear what you can do. Okay, before we go on our break, we seem to be making it right on time. I just hope I'm not going too fast. I tend to speak quite fast, so I can't see messages. So if you need me to come back on anything, do say so. I mentioned that we need to have our CVs. Can I have a thumbs up if you have your CVs in your phone, in your computer? Excellent, Latifa, Khadija. Excellent. Okay. Firdausi, yes. Peter, yes. Okay, now I want you to look at your CV. Everybody, you're going to be an expert recruiter. I want everybody to have their CVs, and I want you to be able to go through this as you're looking at your CV. So I would read it out, and within a couple of seconds, I wouldn't say 10 seconds because this I would give to 2 years plus experienced recruiters. Now, I want you to answer the question, can you immediately identify who you are? That's your first question. Scan your CV. You're not supposed to look at every word, but scan it. Can you immediately identify who you are? That's the first question. Now, I want you to respond with thumbs up, and if it's not, thumbs down. Can you immediately identify who you are? Okay, excellent, excellent. Can you clearly see your key skills? Is it clear, your key skills? Excellent. Oh, wow. Can you find relevant experiences quickly? Okay, Firdausi, no. Okay, so we'll work on that. So the third thing is, can you clearly see your experiences? So if you've had a job before, if you've worked before. Okay, a few thumbs down for this. Okay, interesting. So it's either that you do not have work experience or you have not effectively amplified on that. Okay, do your achievements stand out from university, from work? Is that clear within your CV? No, okay. Okay, good. Lots of thumbs up, a few thumbs down. Okay. Kayode and okay, Firdausi, thumbs up. Good, good, good. And would you invite yourself for an interview? Honestly, look at your CV and remember what we've said. Okay, Aisha, interesting. I like the honesty. I like the honesty. Now we're going to unmute a few people. Joseph, if you could help me, I want hands up for 2 people that said they would not invite themselves for an interview. Can you expatiate? By the way, this is a safe space. This is where we are trying to solve real life problems, and the more you dare, the better it would help you. So come up and say, okay, yes, I would, from what I've heard in this session, I will definitely not shortlist my CV for these reasons. Please, it's a safe space. There is no judgment. We're here to learn. So Joseph, would you help me unmute? And I need 2 people. I need your hands up so we can unmute you. If you said no, you would not shortlist your CV. Okay, we have Aisha.
Okay.
Are we able to unmute her? Okay, excellent. Aisha, let's hear you. Okay, she went off a bit. Yes, you're
Yes.
back.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
You can hear you.
My name is Aisha. I during the assessment exercise, some things when I ask myself, it's a thumbs up for me. But then when you asked whether I would invite myself for an interview, I said no, because from the whole session, I was looking at my CV, and with everything that you were saying, I could point out where certain things that needs to be worked on. So the first things that I noticed is that it's my CV. I cannot clearly see my key skills.
Mm,
I know that I have certain skills, but then when I look at the CV as you were talking, I cannot see them clearly. So I think that
okay,
is something that needs to be worked on. Do my achievements stand out a little bit, but then the way that I positioned them were not tallying with how you said we should position our CV.
good. Okay,
So when I look at
okay,
it, within the first 30 seconds, even, I don't think it's clear enough for someone. It would be clear enough for someone that does not know me.
right. This is
Yeah.
great self-awareness. This is great introspective. Now, we would share the slides, and hopefully the take-home assignment for today is to use everything you've learned to adapt your CVs, to make your CVs much better. And at the end, as we said, people who are very active, people who have come into class on time, and who are very responsive, we would have the opportunity where I would have a look at your CV after the class and give you feedback. So I hope you're one of those people, Aisha. This is excellent. Miriam, I see you had your hand up, but it's gone down now. Are you still wanting to speak? Okay, I think not. Okay. So thank you very much for that, Aisha. It's very, very, very good. I hope everybody learned from that, from what she said, even if you were not able to speak. You can hear that somebody was able to say, yes, I had this. And she said something very interesting. For somebody who doesn't know her, even within 30 seconds, she herself, who knows herself, was unable to answer some of the questions. Not all, but some. So this is very interesting. Always remember the other person on the screen, the other person, if it's ATSUs, does not know you. I do not know that Aisha is great at this, great at that. I need to see it in your one-page CV, your two-page CV. So the pressure is very, very high. Now, still looking at your CVs, bullet points I'm going to mention. You can take note of them, or you can go through your CV. If you have any of this on your CV, I want you to delete it ASAP, or I want you to take note of it and you review your CV later. So bullet shots, date of birth. I do not want to see when you are born. Unconscious biases. I don't want to know that, oh, this person is 23, then it's Nigeria. You come into a space as an intern, or maybe you finished university on time, and people now say, oh, okay, this person is young, she's very inexperienced, yada, yada, yada. Unconscious biases happen and they exist. Your marital status, whether you're divorced, whether you're married, whether you're engaged, soon to be married, we don't want to see that. Please delete it if you have this. Your religion, I don't want to see if you're Muslim. I don't want to see if you're Christian. I don't want to see any of that. If it matters that much to the person, then you're not applying to the right organization. Your state of origin, delete that if it's there. Your nationality, unless specifically required. You've gotten to a position where you're applying for an international job and they say, okay, I want to see that you have a Nigerian passport, because a lot of UN position jobs, I will tell you this for a fact, when you're applying, they would want you to have dual nationality or be a national of that particular country, or at least your passport does not need a visa for that particular country. So these are international applications and jobs. Take out your nationality if you're applying for a local job in Nigeria. Please remove your gender. remove your gender, remove your gender. And this is not because we have they, them, or what you identify with. Remove your gender. We have 2 genders in Nigeria. If I cannot tell from your name when I meet you in the interview, once your application is successful, I would like to know. Now, coming back to marital status, let me tell you a secret. Some people put in, they just got married, they just got engaged. If you're a woman, immediately in my head, and this is me, and we have been trained to think ethically, she's soon going to have a baby. If she's really qualified, I'm going to invest so much in her, and I'm going to lose her for a year. Unconscious bias. I would look at the next CV. So these are things you have to be aware of. You're going to have kids, you're going to have career breaks. That is okay. You would want to go into an organization where your values align with theirs, where they accommodate things like that. Passport number, please take that out. Please, I think this was an obvious. National ID, your NIN. I don't need to know that. We don't need your home address. I don't need to know the lungu you live in, the exact crescent, the close. Please take that out if you have it, not your local government. We don't need multiple photos, no selfie or unprofessional photos, no photos full stop unless specifically asked. No excessive colors, decorative borders and boxes. Please be taking note or removing this from your CV. Fancy fonts, we've discussed it already. No emojis. So you see, I've used a lot of emojis that signify no, no, no. No emojis. We don't want to see emojis throughout. Maybe you want to use bullet points, then you are using the arrow or the rocket emoji. No, we do not want to see this. Reference available upon request. As how? What do you mean by that? We don't want to see that your reference is available when I send you a message, especially, and I tell you, there's some level of arrogance and ego with talent experts, because we think literally your job opportunity is in our hands. So you're telling me I should send you a message for your referees. How? Why? Please put in relevant referees at the bottom. 2 to 3 is sufficient. Salary expectation. I would like to think that this is never done, no matter the position that you're in. Do not put your salary expectation, because when you come for an interview, I would like to hear you say, oh, okay, I want to learn. Of course, you're there to eat. You're there for a decent salary. Nobody wants to just learn just like that. I don't need to know your salary expectations. I don't need to see your pay slip attached so that I know your value, that you came from a place paying in dollars. And I mean, you could have that opportunity, at entry level. There are a lot of internationals. There are a lot of work from home type of arrangements where you get paid in foreign currency. Social media accounts. This is so, so important. Your LinkedIn is useful. Don't give me your Instagram. I don't want to see that you have an Instagram account that you are posting lots of interesting, opinionated thoughts. So for me personally, for anybody who knows my Instagram, I'm very anti-West. I'm very anti-politics. And in my job, I cannot be. So if I'm applying for something and I go and put my Instagram account and they find me on Instagram, there would be a big problem. My LinkedIn, perhaps. In fact, sometimes when people get jobs, they block all their potential colleagues. Don't put your Instagram or your Facebook or your TikTok. Let's say you're dancing in front of the camera. Please do not do that. I don't want to see, because curiosity sometimes will make me click. And I'm like, okay, let me see this candidate's Instagram account. There was a time I did an interview for a young lady coming into my organization as a communications officer. She had just graduated Nile University. She had a side hustle where she was making yogurt. She took the interview in a moving car. That was the first wrong thing she did. She was in a moving car. She had sunglasses on. Yeah. And we're just like, Gen Z also, like, the department she's applying to, comms department. Let's give her a chance. Let's still continue. Then she said in the interview, well, you can go and check my Instagram and see, like, I have a business. I make yogurt. I also do makeup. Interesting. You could be doing all of those things, but do not refer us to your Instagram account and even give us your Instagram. Don't do that. Your LinkedIn is very okay. If you have a professional Instagram that displays the type of work you do, what you're interested in, by all means, it's strictly a professional social media account. also add it. There's no problem with that. Then another thing you should spot in your CV is spelling and grammar errors. You can put this through Grammarly if you do have a subscription on Grammarly, or you could put this through ChatGPT. So please use AI to your advantage. Do not use it to do all the jobs, because there would come a time if you were to get a job, then we would ask, okay, you displayed the fact that you can do this, now do it. And your AI has crashed. What then happens? So let's be very, very aware. AI is your friend, but AI is not you.